Hi, Steven. You're on mute.
My I had a document up blocking my mute button. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, well, good afternoon here. Yeah, we're good.
Good.
We're good. Yeah. How's it
You
going
hear me
there? It's
okay?
been a long time.
You can hear me good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you good.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's what time is it here? It's 5:30 in the morning here.
it's quite early, yes. And what has been ongoing right now? Right? It's been time since we had a conversation.
Yeah, so for the Jupiter project, we just finished hiring a chief operating officer,
Oh,
Joe Stevens, and we hired a chief marketing officer, Jen Zubrowski.
oh,
And so I have spent the last few days getting them spun up on what we have going on, uh, some of the projects that we're working on, progress of Metis 1.4, and then just kind of leaving them, getting Jen on board with what we have template wise for marketing, and she brings a very big network of marketing tools and contacts, so she's going to start using those and bringing Joe up to speed on what projects and what tasks need to be monitored and pushed forward. So they're getting into their roles, and
great.
then just keep pushing the network adoption and doing good outreach projects like this, so we can get the good word out about Jupiter.
Mm, great, great, great. A lot of work. Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, the space is quite busy too. A lot of things going on, a lot of meetings going on, right? And I hear that everyone here is super busy, right? And uh, uh, I'd like to urge all the participants, please call upon your friends, and maybe we can get started, right? Um, Today we'll try and teach a very basics of blockchain, along with some of the cool things that blockchain can actually do, right? Today we have Steven with us, who's the founder of Jupiter, and we'll try to hear what exactly is a blockchain, as well as we'll try and understand about his experiences on blockchain. Please feel free to add any questions in the chat box. We'll definitely love to hear some questions here. And if you have any even if the questions are very basic, please ask them in the chat box. We'll try and cater to all those questions. We are here to make sure that all of you can understand what blockchain is, what smart contracts are, as well as shed some light onto our knowledge. Specifically, Stephen will share some of the parts of his knowledge and his experiences with Jupiter, right? And on that note, Stephen, let me ask you the first question, like the first buzz question. What exactly is a blockchain, right? And we can maybe start from there.
Okay. So blockchain at its simplest form is a decentralized database. It's a database that you can think of as a stack of Legos. And when you stack Legos on top of each other one at a time, you can't take the fourth Lego down and pull it out. You have to take all of the blocks above it off, then replace a block, and then put the other blocks back, and then convince the entire network that the block you changed is the actual correct block. And the way it works is the other nodes in the system are going to say, no, that's not the right block. So then it's called blacklisting. They will blacklist the node that is nefarious or trying to break the consensus rules. Um, and the reason this is important um, in a decentralized world, because you don't want people just changing facts as they see fit. In a centralized database, like Facebook is a centralized company with a centralized ecosystem. So that's how they can go through and just delete your posts, and everybody will just accept that as fact, because there is no provenance behind the data that is stored in Facebook. Um, Systems like we build, Metis, namely, I can't go back and change your your conversation. I can't take out portions of the conversation or hide a message. I don't have that capability. Um, inside a Metis application that you use that I own. So we'll say that the iOS app that is on your phone. I can hide people. Like if you report somebody or you block somebody in that app, our company has the ability to hide them for you. But if you leave and go to the Metis web application, I there's nothing I can do. Like that blocking mechanism is no longer there. So it gives the freedom of protection if you want it, but the freedom of censorless communications when you don't want it. And then and it gives governments, or it takes the government's ability or a centralized entity's ability to censor anybody from talking to someone else. And that's what blockchain and a decentralized database enables. Web3. So Web3 is the next evolution of what the internet will be. And I think we'll get into some of the differences of that in a moment. But yeah, blockchain at its most rudimentary level is a decentralized database that agrees on a consensus protocol. And when a node does not fit the consensus protocol, it is kicked out of the ecosystem until it complies.
Well, Stephen, maybe when we're talking about Metis, right, and maybe we can shed some light on how exactly, like, what exactly are the functions of Metis, so that all the developers here can understand how an application using blockchain is actually made.
Okay, so for Metis, we use our layer 1 blockchain called Jupiter. It's based in Java. The Jupyter program is, and then we wrote Metis in React Native, which is a mixture of Node.js, React.js, and then just a plethora of JavaScript libraries. At last count, I think there were 200 different libraries. And for you developers that have ever, initialized an NPM project or create React app, it pulls in a lot of libraries by default. So Metis is React Native for 90% of it. Of course, it's got its HTML on top of it and CSS and files and all of those other things. But the web is built on JavaScript. Web apps are 90%, 95% JavaScript. You may have some Ruby in there. Maybe if you're a data scientist, they use Python and R a lot, but Python's really not a web native application. It's not really like a web native language anymore. So JavaScript is very popular, and it also just gives a lot of flexibility of what you can build. We have, a very robust API system. So if you can look at an API system and understand the calls at today's level, there's really nothing you can't build using our ecosystem.
And I believe that could be a good starting point as well, right? The knowledge of web development, or for that matter, Android development, could be a good starting point for people to get started in building applications on blockchain. Basically, you need these for any sort of application that you want to develop, right? You will always need a front end to showcase your application, right? So these forms the basics of it, right? Maybe we can have a quick show of hands from the audience. Those of the people who know JavaScript, right? Can you please raise your hand or put a yes in the chat box so that we are acquainted with the audience? Oh, that was fast response. Awesome, awesome,
Good, very good.
great.
Yeah, JavaScript. And of course, I'm completely biased in what I say. JavaScript is how at today, looking at it, JavaScript is how you build web apps. And it is the most efficient manner and the fastest way to get basically go from 0 to 1. It's the fastest way to get there. And unless you're inventing a new programming language, you are going to use JavaScript for the most part. Solidity, a Web3 programming language for Ethereum based blockchains, Ethereum virtual machines. That is very, very popular. And there are, in my opinion, there are differences between blockchain developers and block application developers and smart contract developers. Those are three distinct job titles and three different skill sets. Blockchain developer is, a compiled language, C++, C#, Java, the mechanics of how to think beyond clicking OK or send and the repercussions that it causes down the line. Because, you have to think about, 10 years from now, are these transactions that we're building and completing today going to still stand up over the test of time? And then you have your smart contract developers who are very Solidity heavy. Solana uses Rust in their programming languages to build smart contracts. And it's similar to a blockchain developer, except you're building, it's kind of like a layer 1.5. It's not quite layer 2, but it's not quite layer 1. And it's very deep into the weeds. And you have to really understand the premise of what decentralization really is. So when you click OK in a smart contract, the functions of those smart contracts can kick off and work very well. And then you have your blockchain application developer, which is more along the lines of what Metis is. Metis is an application that I have blockchain developer or web developer application developers building to build out that Web3 ecosystem on top of Jupyter. And, anybody that built on top of another blockchain. So yeah, it's future-proofing the world is what it's doing. Web3 is huge.
On the similar note, I believe we have a question in the chat box by Kunal. How is Metaverse and blockchain tech related?
So Metaverse and blockchain, the only way that I see in the next 5 years before, we all have our brains removed and we're just floating in space. Metaverse, in my opinion, is buying virtual goods for a virtual world. And in the past, it's been with physical money. So you've linked your bank account to your Fortnite account so you can buy V-Bucks and buy skins. That's a metaverse because, my kids play Fortnite and they love all the new skins and, they can use their V-Bucks and their dad, I did my chores. Can I get, how many ever V-Bucks so I can get this cool sword? Because online in their game, they can personify what they look like and what they want their characteristics to be in Fortnite. If they want to, like mine is Iron Man, my character in Fortnite that I play with them in every now and again, I have Iron Man skin. My middle boy, he's got the Venom skin. And then my oldest has a shark guy or something. So Metaverse is going to be the virtual representation of yourself. Like the Matrix. When you get plugged in, you can virtually say, hey, I want to wear a black trench coat with some cool shades. That is your metaverse personification. Blockchain makes it awesome because I can prove that I own that Iron Man skin or my son owns that Venom skin. or I have this cool sword, and it gives it the ability for me to sell it to somebody else, and then they can prove that they have it. So inside Fortnite, that's very easy because Fortnite owns the entire ecosystem. Well, Epic Games, they own the entire thing. Like, there's nothing Fortnite somewhere else. So if I buy an Iron Man skin in Fortnite, I can only use it in Fortnite. Where blockchain makes this all really awesome is all Epic Games has to do is plug in an NFT platform into Epic Games, and then I can take my CryptoPunk and be a CryptoPunk in Fortnite. And everybody will know that it's me because it can have just a little signifier, like a verification on Twitter. Yep, this says this is the real CryptoPunk, or this is the real, golden diamond edged sword, or this is the blaster that cost $1 million to kill people with one shot. And then I can go use that in Call of Duty, or I can go use it in League of Legends, or I can go to Roblox, or I can go to Decentraland. The blockchain enables free and unfettered access to your metaverse personification anywhere there is a metaverse.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we answered your question, Kunal. I urge everybody to please ask questions in the chat box. I know that a lot of you must have some questions. Maybe how to get started. Something like that, right? Like I have a question. Why should we even go for blockchain? Like, what are the incentives, or what can I get by being a developer in blockchain?
So to really get why the blockchain is so important for the next evolution of the web or the internet, and we kind of take a step back first. So there are three current evolutions of the internet. There's Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. To make it very easy to delineate what is what, Web 1 is read. So back in the day, before most of you were probably born, websites, when you went to them, you didn't get to put information in them. You only went and you read what was on the website. And that was Web 1.0. I, as a website owner, put information onto the website, and then you went and did an AOL keyword, or used Alta Vista and searched for my website, and it gave you information. And then that was around until probably the 2004, 2005, when the web started to come into what we are currently in right now, which is Web 2.0. And think of that as read and write. So in today's world, I can go to Facebook, I can read what my friends say, and then I can write something back on the website. Or Twitter, you can read tweets, you can tweet. Instagram, you can read and watch pictures and videos. You can create content on top of Instagram and YouTube. So Web 2.0 gave us the infrastructure of the foundation of a metaverse, being able to be digital natives, talk online, read, consume things online, and then regurgitate our opinions of what we read online. Except for the Web 2.0 companies are centralized entities. I can't consume Facebook without Facebook letting me consume it. Like, I have to ask permission of Facebook. Somewhere along the line, I have to ask Facebook to consume Facebook services. And they can say yes or no. And that brings us to Web 3. Web 3 is read, write, and own. So the reason that ownership is important, I relate this back to Metis. Metis, as you download the iOS app, is a centralized version of Metis, except anyone in this chat can stand their own Metis server up that is fully independent of anything I'm doing. They can sign up, they can type their messages, and if their friend is on an iOS or the Android app, their friend will see their messages, even though their friend is on my server for Metis. And that's where the Web3 power becomes very, very intriguing, because then I don't have to ask anybody permission to do things. I don't have to give anybody information like my email address or my phone number. I don't have to, I don't have to do any of those things to do a service or to consume a service. And the reason Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of those other services are free is because you give them data. You give them an email address, even though it may be a fake email address. It's an email address. You give them the ability to follow you around the internet, and they build a profile on you, and then they sell that profile to advertisers so they can advertise to you. And that's how they make their money. Facebook is an advertising company. They're not a social media networking company. And that's why he wants to push this metaverse, because Zuckerberg's not dumb. He knows people are going to do they're already integrated into Facebook. So why not just continue giving them all their information, and just fall into his metaverse? Well, people my age and older, a lot of them will do that because they don't know any better. People in their 30s, they're going to be like, well, I don't know. We'll see what's going on. They kind of get both ways. But people that are 20 and below, they don't even have, a lot of them don't have Facebook accounts. They've started going, a different direction. My kids, two of my four are under 10. I don't foresee them ever having a Facebook account or any really Web 2.0 service, because by the time they get to high school and into college, Web3 will be so pervasive and so integrated into what they have been raised in. They won't have any reason to do that. They'll just have their own meta server, and by that time you'll be able to own your own social media on your own server at your house, except for anybody on the planet will be able to consume your data or consume what you say, if you give them access to it. And that's where the own comes in. You own your data. You own your privacy. You own the actual reach and consumption of your data. So that, and nobody can take that away from you. Say, Google doesn't like something that we say on here for whatever reason, they could just turn it off, and we can't do anything because we agreed to their terms. In Metis, if you said something I don't like, I can tell you I don't like it, but I can't do anything about it because it's a decentralized system and you own your data. So that is where we're going to get, and you can incentivize those things, by, like Jupiter. I incentivize, or the protocol incentivizes people to run nodes by giving them Jupiter for running a node. It's, similar to staking coins on a website, but instead of staking it on a website, you stake it on your server or your node or your computer, and you gain rewards for doing that service to keep the network secure. You can incentivize, farming for, liquidity. There you go to farms and stuff, and there's, 1,000% APY here and 10% APY over there. And then it's up to you to decide where you put your funds, where you put your money, and which protocol you want to support. And it's totally up to you. It's not a forced function, by any one entity. And of course, when you build your applications on top of another layer one, you create a token, you create an asset, and you can distribute those assets as you see fit. Following the local rules and regulations for doing those sorts of things. You can have your own ICO or your own sale, raise money, raise funds, just like a normal traditional venture capitalist, except for it's fully, community driven, instead of just some billionaire that comes in and says, hey, I'll throw you some scraps here, see what you can do. You can really build a community behind you, and decentralize the governance of that protocol or that application that you build.
So Stephen, what could be the what could be some of the ways where we can stay connected? Maybe where we can have some knowledge about what exactly is going on in Web3 space. I believe a lot of people here might be in touch to know this, like how to stay updated with the blockchain space.
Yeah. So for like Ethereum or EVM based systems, um, uh, Ethereum virtual machine based smart contract platforms. So I just popped in, Web3.js. That's probably like after you know JavaScript or a programming language or and understand how to read um, an API document. That would be a great place. We're building out a new documentation site, and now that I have my COO and my CMO, I can actually do it, and because I have time. Uh, that's our documentation site, and we have a plugin. So I'm gonna venture to guess that everybody in the chat knows what MetaMask is. Jupiter has a MetaMask um, that we built from scratch. It's called Europa. So you can build web applications, Web3 applications, and use Europa to log into those using your Jupiter account, just like you do with MetaMask. So that's very exciting. And that really starts to push the envelope in what we can do with Jupiter and Web3 native logins for the ecosystem. That's really exciting. And the main thing that Jupiter is really starting to build into itself are smart contracts. Currently, the Java-based application we run is not Turing complete, and that was done by design. And that we started Jupiter 4 years ago, so at that time there was only really Ethereum for a smart contract platform. So at the time, I saw gas prices coming to where they were at. We're paying 30, 40, 50, 60, $100, $200, $500 to do smart contract stuff. And I saw that coming, and I didn't want that for Jupiter because I want low cost transactions. I want anybody in the world to be able to create an asset, trade an asset, send a message, send money, and have the freedom to do that without having thousands of dollars already. That defeats the purpose of decentralizing and being a very inclusive blockchain. So those are the things that I looked at. So now as we progress through this Web3, you can never be stubborn in your ways. So we started looking at how we can integrate smart contracts into our platform, and I think some more. Now that I have, my COO, Joe, and my CMO, Jen, we can start really putting a plan together on how we're going to integrate and market the next version of Jupiter. So that's a little bit of alpha about Jupiter. So I haven't even talked to really the community about it, but we're going to push the envelope on Jupiter to make sure that we're future proof. Because I think doing anything else than future proofing yourself is just putting your head in the sand and praying that nobody realizes that you have your head in the sand.
Yeah, we do have some interesting questions in the chat box too.
I'm sorry.
We do have some interesting questions in the chat box now. Some people are asking about NFTs, like why even are NFTs, getting this recognized as sources of money? Physical entities like painting of Mona Lisa can be replicated or faked. And how are we preventing that with these NFTs, as there are more prior to whatever? Okay, how are we actually preventing that, right?
So, and that's really an easy question, and I'll preface with I'm not really a huge NFT art only fan, but I'm not a physical art fan either. My wife is; she does all the art stuff. So, but I can answer this question. Excuse me. So, say I draw a circle. and I design the circle on my computer, and then I go to Mint, and I give it its metadata, and it's, it can be blue, red, or green. And the circle can be a square or a triangle or a circle. And then I put that metadata in a JSON file. I upload it to IPFS, and then I go and I write the smart contract to say, hey, there can only be 5 circles, 3 triangles, and 1 square. And then you set all those parameters. I click Mint. When I click the Mint button, it gives me the smart contract of that particular NFT, and it gives me a transaction ID. So that transaction ID is like, in the physical art world, you get a certificate of authenticity, and that certificate of authenticity is what proves that my painting is the real painting. The NFT, the digital NFT transaction ID and that smart contract are what tells the world that this one is the right one. I can right click and save, and then I have a copy of that CryptoPunk. But if I go to sell that CryptoPunk, nobody's going to buy that CryptoPunk for me for $10 million because I don't have the digital provenance that I have the CryptoPunk. And they can easily look that up. The decentralized ledger allows anybody to go verify, hey, that's not a CryptoPunk, or this NFT, because maybe I meant a fake one, like somebody's fake painting a Mona Lisa. I can go fake make CryptoPunks because the code's open source. I can go do that. But the community comes together and says that this particular series is the real CryptoPunk series. And of course, OpenSea and Rarible, or wherever they're, minted, that centralized system that they own and they have says this CryptoPunk is real. So you can't prevent people from right click and saving, and you can't prevent people from minting a second series or another series of CryptoPunks. But just like the Mona Lisa, there is an authority that says that's the Mona Lisa. The cool thing about NFTs, if that's your thing, or I can't pay somebody, whoever owns the Mona Lisa, whatever, place owns it, I can't call them up and say, hey, I will give you $1 million if I can rent the Mona Lisa for the weekend to come to my house. It's not possible. But I can call the person that owns CryptoPunk 442 and be like, hey, bro, like CryptoPunk 442 is like my jam, and I would love to be able to use that for the weekend and have the real NFT. You can rent that. The actual smart contract system can say, okay, person that owns 442, they're going to send that digital token to Steven. Steven's going to be able to display it, and Steven has paid $10 or whatever. And at the end of the weekend, it'll say by block 1,465,000, the smart contract automatically sends that 442 CryptoPunk NFT provenance data back to the owner. So I can so then, being the art aficionado, then you say, okay, you are looking at the actual CryptoPunk 442. Like, it is right here. So it's like renting a Lambo. So it's cool, but it's not cool, in my opinion. I don't know. But that is the difference of the physical asset and the digital asset, and the smart contract platforms that that are being built today. Those types of predetermined digital contracts. I'm going to rent 442 from you for $10 for 48 hours. He clicks approve, I click approve, it's done.
So yeah, there are a lot more use cases to blockchain. Like NFT is one of the use cases that we have in blockchain, right? what could be more? Like, can we have a brief, introduction to some of the use cases in blockchain?
So kind of keeping a little bit on the NFT and then kind of blocking or branching out. In my opinion, NFTs will be more of a digital representation of physical things we have. So like my driver's license will eventually be an NFT for online identity. My title to my car, the deed to my house, insurance policies, insurance on my vehicle, um, student records, people that go to be a lawyer or a doctor and they get licensed in their state or their country or their municipality. All of those certifications will be on the blockchain as an NFT, because I can't fake those things. I can't fake a certificate on the blockchain. It's just literally impossible, because once there are certifying authorities, which are kind of centralized entities, but if you go to the school, if you go to Harvard, it's automatically a centralized entity. It's Harvard. So when you get a Harvard diploma, they are the authority that gives you the physical diploma. So instead of having the physical one to prove you went to Harvard, you have a digital representation. So I can shoot that to you without uploading my document and then sending it. I can just say, hey, this 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 is my digital presence. Like Sigwo is my Twitter handle. It could be my digital provenance platform. Twitter is being a. I think they're going to really lean forward in this, being a digital identification service. But they are already behind the curve because they have so much data on everybody. It'll be really hard for them to get Web3 natives, the people that are under 20, to really like embrace giving all of their stuff away. So that's like one. And then like number two is like, when you sign documents like DocuSign, they, send those to 15 people in order via email address. And, they want to know your location. They want to get you to sign up and they want to sell you stuff. All of those things can be done essentially for free, or very, very, very low cost on the blockchain. And it's digital signature with cryptology. And that's exactly what DocuSign is. You get a digital certificate, which is an NFT, and you use that to sign stuff. Basically, smart contracts can do whatever you can put into code. And then you start building your system. So if you have an idea, say, so I have a smart lock on my door, and it has an app. I had to sign up for the app. I can send a friend, or Airbnb service. If you pay Airbnb, I can send you a digital token that will open the door, and that can all be blockchain and NFT driven. And then in the future, as we continue to go down that path, I won't need an Airbnb, because me and you and money will all be in one ecosystem. And we can start getting away from having all these centralized services that we have to, pay a tax to. You'll pay a little bit of a tax to a blockchain, but you can still have a service that you can use that's still applicable.
All right. So, can we, there was one thing that was in my mind, like, how did you guys came up with the idea of Metis? Like, is there a story behind it?
So when we built Jupiter, we built a scaffolding of sorts. We wanted to be able to link blockchains together and let web developers build blockchain applications very quickly. So we built that infrastructure, and then basically to showcase the power of that scaffolding called gravity, we built Metis, because we wanted, communication is at the base of human social constructs. You have to be able to communicate with people to do anything. And at the time, there were, some uprisings that people were trying to communicate with or through, and they couldn't because Twitter turned them off, or Facebook was banned in their country. Um, so looking at that, we were like, okay, there needs to be a system that's encrypted, that's anonymous, and can never be turned off. So I was like, okay, well, then we need to showcase this platform. So let's build a messaging system, and then it's kind of just evolved into, that will be, the mobile forward of Jupiter. We want to use Metis as a communications platform. Version 1.4 will have voice and video integrated. You can send Jupiter back and forth. We want to be able to do decentralized trading inside the app. So we would basically want to make Metis the mobile version of Jupiter. So people that want to just use it for communications and sending money back and forth can do that kind of stuff, and nobody can ever turn it off. The great thing about it is, the system's built, and if I left tomorrow, nothing changes for the Metis ecosystem or Jupiter. Nobody's server gets turned off because I walked away, and that's the real power of Web3. Is it never depends on one entity. It goes into perpetuity. There's never a turn off button. So that's really the backstory of Metis. And I wanted to make it sure that Jupiter was a low cost, inclusive platform. I didn't never, saw the use of it costing $500 to move, to swap from, Ethereum into Jupiter. Like, it's just a little crazy on the gas prices. They've come down a little bit, but for the most part, it's crazy how much it costs to do something on Ethereum.
True. Uh, well, I believe there should have been one question from the audience they have not asked, that like, what is the average salary one can expect when they are working on a smart contract as a smart contract developer?
It really depends. Right out of college, if you know JavaScript and can write JavaScript applications that connect to web API stuff, you can expect $50,000 to $60,000. If you can integrate into blockchain and understand the blockchain ecosystem, that goes up. And then if you can write Solidity contracts, it's up even more. So it's really depending on where you work, what part of the world you work, and then what exactly are you trying to build. It's very, very different. 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 an hour.
It definitely is, a lot rewarding than a lot of jobs. Even here in India, you can see that the salaries offered to blockchain developers are actually more than the salaries that are offered to other software developers. And the experience, these are the stats I read recently. The experience of 2 years in blockchain and experience of 5 years in any other software engineering field, experience of 2 years in blockchain is twice rewarding than the one who's had 5 years of experience in any other software dev. So
Yeah.
this is the scope that we're talking about, right? And this is something that is quite intriguing as well. The space is growing so much right now.
Yeah, and if you guys and gals that are out there that are working on your degree and learning a programming language, if you're not learning Web3 technology or building web applications or looking at Web3 companies, you're already a dinosaur. Building centralized monolithic systems like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, that is not the future. I have friends that are software developers that still work at traditional firms, and I'm like, guys, you guys are going to be the IBM mainframe maintainers in 5 years. Like, you're going to be the old guy that sits in the corner because nobody knows how that crap works, and you're the only one that does it because you didn't want to learn something new. Don't be that guy or that gal. go learn Web3, learn the newest stuff that's out there. We have test nets, that you don't even have to use real money to learn how to do this stuff. Use test nets to practice, spinning a contract up, because the API calls are exactly the same. You just may call a different server. So yeah, I mean, it's there to build and make mistakes, and it's so fast paced. Making fail fast and keep going. So yeah, if I were in my 20s, there'd be zero chance you'd catch me doing anything at Facebook or Google or Twitter or Instagram, because they are a dying breed. They are the MySpace. Do you guys even know what MySpace is? They're a reason. Back in the day when I was a kid, way back in the day, actually before I was born, there was the big Betamax and VHS wars. And you guys probably have no fucking idea what that is. But, you have to see the future, and you have to go, hey, you know what? Everybody that is smart is the brain capital, the intelligence capital is all in Web3. It's the past 15 years, the smartest people have been trying to figure out how to get you to click a button or how to track you around the internet. Get that one little pixel, that Facebook pixel, to integrate in every single website that's ever on the internet, so they can track you and advertise to you, whether or not you have a Facebook account or not. So that's the even more scarier part. You don't even have to have a Facebook account to get tracked by Facebook, packaged and sold to somebody. So yeah, don't limit yourself to traditional slow companies.
With that, I believe, do we have any questions, guys? If you have some questions, you can always reach out to us. We might have, I think Jupiter also has a Discord server, right, where the discussions are taking place regarding Jupiter as well. And you can also reach out to us on the groups, right, where we can take care of any further queries that you guys have. If you need some resources, just ping us there. We'll share the resources with you, right? And all those things would be done, right? There is the Telegram link for Jupiter. Thank you, Steven. If you have questions, guys, please ask, right? And even if we miss some questions, you can ask us later in the community, and we'll be, more than happy to answer all of them, right?
Yeah, and I just dropped our Telegram channel and our Discord server in the chat. And if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see the website, you'll see the GitHub link, and then the couple of links that I dropped in there about Web3 and our documentation site. So, join up, come in, hang out, see what's going on. So yeah, I mean, we're a growth-based or a growth-focused blockchain, and we want to get the word out, and we want to get you young developers into the ecosystem, so you guys can build the future. So old people like me can stop working. So you guys can carry the torch.
Let's hope so. Definitely. We'll all look forward that all these students can come join us and start with their journey on blockchain. Maybe write a smart contract or two and share it with us. We'll be really happy. Something like that happens, and we'll love to connect with each and every one of you.
Definitely.
Right.
I appreciate the time. Thank you guys for coming in and joining and being a great audience. I hope to see you guys around. And I'm at Sigwo on Twitter. I'm at Sigwo in Telegram. And in Discord, I'm like Sigwo3658 or something crazy. But you'll know who I am when you join the server, because it says owner next to it. So I hope to see you guys around. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, Steven.
Go build awesome stuff, guys and gals. Go do it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Definitely. Bye-bye.